So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week has honestly been a bit lackluster in the NBA world, with things quieting down somewhat in the middle of the offseason, but thanks to all of you who submitted takes, we still have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Braxton, and he says that Jamal Murray is not a top 20 player, despite everyone being super high on him after the Nuggets run to the title, and he has become a bit overrated as a result. I've said this quite a few times on the channel previously over the years, but Jamal Murray has always been one of the most difficult players to truly judge in terms of where he ranks compared to his peers. In the regular season, he's obviously a very good player, who scores the ball efficiently inside and out, hitting about 40% of his threes, with a good mid-range game thrown in, but his career high in points is just 21 per game, which in today's NBA is something about 45 other players accomplish, so his production doesn't necessarily jump off the page at you. Everyone recognizes his talent in the regular season, but he still has yet to even be named an all-star in his career, because it's not always obvious that he's head and shoulders better than the other guys in his talent range that have better production than him on a per-game basis. However, when the playoffs roll around, Murray seems to consistently take his game to another level, and that's what matters the most, which is why he's viewed so highly in the public eye. In Jamal Murray's playoff career, he averages 25 points and 6 assists per game, shooting the ball 47% from the field and 40% from 3. In the regular season, from 2019 to now, which is the duration that his teams have made the playoffs, he averaged just 19 points and 5 assists per game, shooting 45% from the field and 38% from 3. The proof is in the pudding. Murray literally goes from above average production to legitimate all-star caliber production on strong shooting splits in the playoffs. Now, applying all of this to the original take about whether he's a top 20 player or not, I think he's very close, but the top 20 is a list filled with the clear-cut best players and best talent, and it's hard to force a guy who has never made an all-star team or ever been the best player on his team onto that list. He is a perfect sidekick for Nikola Jokic, and his impact on their ability to win the championship this year cannot be emphasized enough. But if I were to be putting together a list of the top 20 players in the NBA, he would probably still fall just barely shy of making it in. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Bruh, and he says that the Heat are the most hated team in the NBA, and then the rest of his paragraph is pointing out the hypocrisy of how the Damian Lillard situation is being treated compared to how the Durant, Harden, and Kyrie situations were being treated previously. Now, this is a common counter-argument that I've seen a lot of by Heat fans and Lillard defenders in this situation, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I could not disagree with this notion more. I think it's incredibly disingenuous. I think the people who say things like this are being intentionally obtuse, missing the point completely, and it's obvious that this kind of viewpoint stems completely from being a homer. What Damian Lillard is doing right now is an absolute joke, and the NBA was completely justified in stepping in and giving the warning that they did about it. Damian Lillard just last year signed a contract extension with the Trailblazers, keeping him under contract until at least 3 more seasons, with a player option for a 4th season. When you sign a contract of that length, it means you're committing to the team that you're signing with, and if you don't have a no-trade clause, then you're forfeiting the ability to choose where you want to go if you want to go elsewhere. If Lillard actually wanted to go to Miami, and only Miami like he is now saying, then he simply simply should not have signed that contract extension, so that he could have become a free agent and gone to Miami, which, by the way, not a soul on earth would have had a problem with him doing. Instead, he chose to take the money, and now he wants to have his cake and eat it too, and that's just not how things work, which is why every single person who isn't either a Miami Heat fan or a Damian Lillard fan is vehemently against what is happening. The difference between Lillard and guys like Durant, Harden, and Kyrie too is that those three were all on the final year of their current contracts, about to hit free agency anyway, when they requested the trades, and they also weren't directly telling teams that they would refuse to play for them if they were traded there like Lillard is doing. What Lillard is trying to do right now is so bad for the game, because it's going to set a precedent, making players think that the contracts they sign mean nothing. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Flying, and he says that the NBA's new in-season tournament is actually going to bring some life to the NBA's regular season despite most of the reactions to it being negative. So, I'll fully admit, when the idea of a mid-season tournament started to be floated out there, I hated the idea. The NBA already had an issue with too many injuries happening, guys are taking too many games off for the sake of rest and recovery, and I thought that adding even more games to their slate was the exact opposite of what was needed in today's day and age. If anything, I would have been fully on board with shortening the NBA's regular season to get guys to buy more into committing to good hard play every night. However, now that the full details of the play-in tournament have come out and it's officially happening, I can definitely say that I'm starting to come around to it, and here's why. For one, the tournament isn't actually adding more games on top of the 82-game schedule. What they've done is they're actually making the games in this tournament count as regular season games, so not only do they come with the added bit of motivation being a part of this tournament, but they also count towards the team's record, so you can't just chalk the tournament and bench your best players for it, because it comes with double the ramifications if you lose, as it's both a loss towards your regular season record, and you get closer to being eliminated from this tournament. The NBA regular season can be a long, grueling grind, so the fact that there is now something to actually look forward to your team competing in the middle of it is actually pretty nice, and I think it will keep things interesting. I think once people start to see it in action, the general census will start to embrace it more too, because I understand the initial reluctance to embrace it, but I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.